Hello. Hi, I'm Rohan. I'm going to host today's webinar, which is on Liferay upgrade from 6.x to DXP. Just to let you know about the brief about the agenda of today, that is Liferay DXP and its new features, why upgrade to DXP, challenges that you might face with DXP and from your legacy system to the latest DXP system, the upgradation phases that you will have to see through from 6.x to DXP, which are pre-upgradation, upgradation, post-upgradation, and we are going to summarize what we have learned. So, what we are going to learn today. Just to introduce ourselves today, I'm Rohan Bhatt. I'm the host for today, and I'm the marketing executive with Novath. Our two speakers on Liferay will be Sandeep Nair, who is a principal consultant who has more than 10 years of experience in Java, Java W technologies, and who is working with Liferay technologies for more than 8 years. He has executed Liferay projects across industries in construction, finance, hospital, and healthcare. He has also authored books on Liferay, Liferay Beginner's Guide, and Instant Liferay Portal 6 Starter. Our next speaker is Dwanil, who is a Liferay expert with over 7 years of experience in Liferay technology and over 9 years of experience in Java technologies. He has executed Liferay projects across various industries, including BSFI, healthcare, and automobile. Just to let you know something about Novath, we believe in delivering excellence through end-to-end enterprise-grade IT solutions. We have over 180 team members who deliver great software products, and we are among the 20 most promising IT services companies in India. We have delivered advanced enterprise software solutions with our certified resources who believe in quality products. We are experienced in providing diverse, open source alternative proprietary technologies, and we have delivered over 100 projects within budget and to 50 clients on time. We provide our software solutions globally in countries like Canada, USA, France, EU, Norway, Middle East, India, and Australia. Let's talk about some Liferay capabilities. Liferay team at glance. Experience of implementing over 30 Liferay projects for different clients, including Fortune 500 companies. We have implemented projects where the team size varied from 5 to 100 plus team members. We have strong leaders who have started, nurtured, and led more than 200 members into Liferay COE. We have more than 20 experienced Liferay professionals and Liferay certified developers. We have frontrunners who establish and lead architect COC. Liferay expertise from Novath. Liferay Beginner's Guide. These are the 3 authored books of Liferay which Novath and Novathians guides have produced. Liferay Portal Performance-Based Practices, Instant Liferay Portal 6 Starter. We have reviewed 4 books on Liferay, contributed to Liferay Marketplace. We are active participations in blogs, forum, webinars, and seminars on Liferay, and we have 2 Liferay certified trainers who have delivered more than 25 Liferay trainings across the globe. Our Liferay implementations, we have more than 30 projects implemented of various sizes, starting from $50,000 to over 10 million in different verticals that include healthcare, media and entertainment, travel and hospitality, high technology, education, insurance, telecom, government, banking, and financial. Our solutions provided into Liferay are intranet, extranet products, CMS, and social collaboration, just to name a few. Now, let me introduce our next speaker, who is Dwanil Reshambala, with more than 7 years of experience into Liferay technologies. Over to you, Dwanil.
Thanks, Rohan. Hello, everyone. So to start with, for this upgradation part, first we'll be looking around what are some of the new features that Liferay DXP provides. So from the end user perspective, the first and the foremost that comes is a single page application, that is the bye-bye refresh. So why we say this bye-bye refresh is we don't anymore see those loading icons in the browser, which makes the user wait. So the entire Liferay DXP is an SPA, so that has the faster page load as well as the reduced bandwidth usage. Welcome back and some forms. Why we call this as a some forms is we already had Liferay forms as part of the previous versions of Liferay, but the amount of new features and the functionalities that DXP has added to it makes it handsome. To name a few, the first one is you can make a wizard like an application or the wizard like entire forms using this Liferay forms. You can even have your data filled into your select boxes from your external applications through REST services. So that gives you a flexibility of displaying the data that is not in just in Liferay portal, but you can fetch it from your external applications. It has some of the conditioning applied for hiding and display of the field. So you can specify those conditions and your form fields will hide and display as for that. And you don't need to write any extra piece of code to get that done. There are some inbuilt validations, form field validations that has been added into this Liferay forms as part of DXP. So say you have your number format validations, your text validations, phone validations, those are by default inbuilt into it. So there is no extra effort or development required to achieve such functionalities. Next one is the improved content authoring. So for any of the content editors or the content authors, they would like to have an easy to use UI where they can create contents using which they can engage with the customers more easily. So in order to get that, Liferay DXP has added a lot of new features to make rich contents. So just to name few of them, you can basically organize your contents into some of the web content folders. You can find the differences between the different versions of your content. You can reuse the same structure and the templates for multiple different sites. So that is what DXP has it for its content authors. Geolocate your content. So you can add geolocation to your contents, and then you can list your contents by geolocation onto the maps as well. So that will help you in order to identify how many contents you have from for the specific locations. Slick media selector. There was already a media selector in the previous versions of Liferay, but there were some of the desired functions which were missing in that media selector. So Liferay DXP addresses those issues. Like the major one was previewing of the image while you are adding that to your content. So now it allows the content authors to preview the image before they go ahead and add it to their contents. And some of the more features that have been added to this media selector consist of, say, you can easily browse images, you can search for images, you can specify the image sources into your contents for the images. The next is improved staging. So when we say this improved staging, it has improved to a level in a DXP where it's just a single button click publishing from staging to live. This was not as simple as in previous versions, but what additionally they have provided to us here is you can store these publishing configurations and you can reuse them for all your next publishing activities, so that you are sure that your publishing will be a success because it's already one tested and then you have saved it as a configuration. Better blogs, forums, and wikis. So Liferay DXP has some of the incremental improvements for this particular assets. So what they have basically done is they have provided some rich features using which the blogs, forums, and wikis that are created, you can target towards encouraging more usage and engagement of the customers using these assets. Stunning UI and navigation. So they have changed the complete look and feel. The front-end technologies that have been used in developing this new version of Liferay DXP is very good, very fast, and the most important thing, there are no refreshes onto the page. So you have your page loaded all together and it just keeps on changing the content as you navigate from one page to other. Audience targeting. So this was also the feature in the previous Liferay versions, but it was not as hot as it is in this DXP. The reason is it has been loaded with so many more categories for targeting your contents to specific audiences. So using these categories, you can make sure that the right people on your portal or on your intranets or wherever you use this feature gets the right content that he is interested in looking at. So these are the features that will look around from the end user perspective. We will also like to go through some of the features that the new features that attracts the technical, the development team. First and foremost out of this is it's based on Java 8. So if you want to use Liferay DXP, you have to have Java 8. It cannot be available for the versions below Java 8. The second one is the modularity, and as we all know, Liferay DXP is based on OSGi modular framework. The modularity results into more agile platform that shortens your develop, deploy, and test cycles, and using that you can make much more frequent releases. BootStrap 3.0, it's the latest version of BootStrap framework, and that is what Liferay UI has been developed upon. Lexicon, so as Liferay terms it as, this is the user experience language that they have created while creating such fantastic UI for us. So they have made this available as a library for all the other developers to use it in their custom development, so that you can get the rich different UI components like alerts, like tabs, buttons, etc. The next one is the SPA using Sana.js. So as we talked about that Liferay DXP is a single page application, the framework that makes this available to us is Sana.js. So the SPA has been implemented over this new framework. Alloy editor, as we talked about the rich facilities that the content authors now have to create contents. The Alloy editor is an intelligent smart editor where on the basis of the selection of the component, it generates the toolbar for you. Say for example, you want to update a text in your content. If you select that text, it brings up a toolbar where it shows you the option for formatting of text. So if you select a table in your content, then it displays you something like if you want to add borders, add new rows, columns, such type of options in a toolbar. So as I said, it has an intelligent editor because it brings up different options for the users on the basis of the selection. The next one is a biggie. It's an elastic search, where initially Liferay's previous version was using Lucene based search, but in this new version they have thought of moving ahead with Elasticsearch because of the rich functionalities and the performance that Elasticsearch has it, and it overall increases the search results displays loading time to the end user. The next one is the ECMAScript 2015, that is ECMAScript 2015, which is basically an advanced version of JavaScript. So DXP makes this available for all our custom development, so we can use ECMAScript 2015 instead of a regular JavaScript in our custom developments. And the last one is the theme generator and tools. So initially when we used to do the theme development as part of Liferay 6.x versions, we used to have themes as part of plugins SDK. But starting DXP, it's been boomed out of plugins SDK. There is nothing like plugins SDK. So there is something theme generator tool that has been provided by Liferay, which is basically a easy to use command line wizard tool based on the npm package of Node.js. So you just need to install Node.js, which in default will install npm packages for you, and you can use that simply to generate your themes. So we looked upon some of the features of Liferay DXP, but the basic question still remains: why should I upgrade to DXP? So the first one is, as we all know, going digital in business is now norm of the day, and this is the major point that Liferay DXP addresses to. It's a digital experience platform, and it can be used for serving your customers and engaging with your customers in a better way. It provides unique, innovative, and customer-friendly digital experience, holistic customer experience across mobile, desktop, and all other touch points. So if you have your portal created, then your users of the portal can access it from whatever devices he wants, and he gets the perfect look of the portal. It's not messed up if you look it on a mobile device, on a tablet, or on a desktop. It's a customer experience across all these devices will be very good. One of the major points why you should upgrade, as per the Liferay guidelines, the support for 6.x ends by this year. So there will be no more update security patches released by Liferay for 6.x versions. It will be just supporting to the customers who have the licenses and might provide some of the just customer specific fixes in case required. But the whole Liferay support and the patches upgrade, all that will be stopped by end of this year. And obviously the cost saving, early migration saves you cost. As we all know, from migrating from one major version to another major version has a lot of complexities and tasks involved. So if you delay this migration, there is an option that there will be one more major release coming up, and then migrating two major releases at the same point of time can result into much more complexities. So it's better if we migrate as early as possible. We think about some of the challenges that the customers may have in their mind before they plan to migrate to DXP. The first of them is skepticism about stability of release, whether the release that I'm moving to is stable or not, how many bugs it has, what are the features still not implemented, what are the feedbacks from the different customers who are already migrated. So that is one of the major challenge. The second one is external system integration. It is possible that in the previous version that you are using, you have your custom plugins written where you integrate with your any third-party external systems and have that running. So you might be in a place where you might be thinking that whether these integrations will still work, whether I'll be able to get the data from those external systems in this new version or not. The functional and the technical expertise. As we saw in the previous slides, there are a lot of functional and the technical changes that have came through in this new version of Liferay. You might have question in the mind that whether with the team or the expertise that we possess, whether we'll be cope up to this new technologies or not. Cost effectiveness, that's one of the major challenges always, whether migrating to this new version will be a cost effective solution, whether I'll get the features that will engage my customers more or not. Reusability of infrastructure. Each and every organization will have an infrastructure in place where the current version is running. So the major ask in the mind will be whether I'll be able to reuse this infrastructure or I'll have to get all new to get this up and running. And the last one, what we think over is training. The training part is like, say, you have a lot of functional changes, UI changes, how you use a specific application. It might be a case that you might have a challenge in your mind saying that whether I'll be able to train my users to use this new platform. So these are some of the challenges that we think over that the organizations have before they work on these upgrade projects.
Hello guys, this is Ron again. Just to let you know that it's an interactive section and you can ask your question by tapping them into the question box on the right hand side, and we will get them answered by our experts at the end of the session. Thank you. I'll pass it over to now. I'll pass this over to Sandeep now, who will be able to guide you better.
Hello everyone. Hope you're doing good. So I'll be showing you what is Nova's approach in doing this upgradation process. So we have divided the upgradation process into multiple sub-processes like planning, requirement analysis, design, upgradation, testing, and moving to production. So these 6 phases. So if you see, we have divided into a smaller umbrella called before upgrade, during upgrade, and after upgrade. So the planning and requirement analysis falls in the umbrella of before upgrade, design and upgradation falls in during upgrade, and finally testing and moving to production falls in after upgrade. So what I'll do is we'll go over each of these sub-modules like before upgrade, and I'll list down the activities that we do. So these are our checklist for doing the upgrade. So first of all, what we'll do is we will check the existing architecture. So we'll get an understanding of what your existing architecture is, how many kinds of plugins are there, what hooks are there, how many kind of ext plugins are there, themes are there. So all this, whatever your existing architecture is there, we will go through it. And then what we'll do is we'll evaluate application complexity. So naturally, all the applications would not be the same. Some would be complex than the others. Right. So what we'll do is, we evaluate the application complexity of each of these, the application that is provided to us. Then what we do is we identify and review any sort of integrations that your application has. These can be any external integrations, any services, web services, maybe they are SOAP-based services, REST-based services, any integration with a middleware kind of TIBCO or something like that. So we identify and review all these integrations here. Then we check what is the required coding effort in doing this upgradation. So this is an important part, because this essentially forms the part where we can provide the estimates, right? So we check how much coding effort is required after analyzing all the above three to deliver this upgrade. We'll analyze the data in both forms, data as in the database, whatever resides in the database, and also the data that is located in the document and media library. So we analyze both the data. We evaluate your existing infrastructure. This is an important thing. So naturally, when we do upgrades, Liferay DXP has integration with Elasticsearch and stuff like that. So Elasticsearch requires a separate server, because Liferay recommends that Elasticsearch should not be embedded. It should, in production, should have a separate server. So previously, if you had been using Lucene or ClusterLink, we would be moving them into a separate server. So that's where we evaluate the existing infrastructure and see if we need any new infrastructure in place, right? Next, what we'll do is we provide estimates, upgrade estimates. So estimates, there are two kinds. First, we check the overall project and then provide a high-level estimate, before even starting the detailed level estimates. Then comes the detailed level estimates once we have some understanding of the requirement as to how many integrations are there. Then we provide a detailed estimate. We haven't listed one point here. The estimates part forms a part of creating the project plan as well. We have a set of steps to upgrade. So this is where we look up as to what all steps we have to follow. This comes in handy while doing the upgrade, right? Then we have this important thing to create the test cases. So we define this all upfront so that we don't have any problem later on. So we create all the test cases and set up the performance benchmarks. Now, in case if something goes wrong, we also have a fallback plan. So we create a fallback plan at this point of time. So this forms essentially the before upgrade part of it. Moving on to during upgrade. During upgrade, what we do is, actually it is plugin migration. So we migrate all your plugins. Okay, we migrate your custom code. We check whether your ext plugins can be converted to hook model. One thing Liferay has been, even in Liferay 6.2, exts were a no-no. If you have no other option, then only you would go with an ext plugin, right? So here too, we don't want an ext plugin. So we just check out the feasibility, how to convert this ext plugin into hook modules, right? Then what we check is, we check how to convert all these hooks, portlets, service builders into a model project. So whether we should really go and convert into a model project or not, because sometimes it may be needed that if you want to create a JSR 168 and 286 specification portlet to be deployed in a different portlet container, then you have to go with a WAR, right? You cannot go with an OSGi model container. So we check the feasibility. So where do you want? Is it really going to help you? But our recommendation is, if you're using Liferay, go with a model project. So we will try to convert all these hooks, portlets, service builders to a model project. Then comes the theme migration. As Dwanil explained earlier, Liferay has been, there's a major revamp in Liferay in case of UI, right? This SPA Liferay is now an SPA, right? And previously, you might all be knowing that we used plugins SDK to create the theme. So there's a separate theme generator tool, right? Which I'll come to later. So we do the theme migration here too. Then we do data migration as well as document and media migration. Finally, once we have all that in place, we define the target architecture, right? So once all this is done, we define the target architecture as to where we'll deploy that application. So this is what happens during the upgrades part of it. Now, let's go with the after upgrade. So once we have done all the development, we are satisfied, we move it to testing. So there's a QA process. QA would do the testing and verification. They will do the check for data loss, and they will report the bugs. So that's a natural cycle. So we fix the bugs, that cycle continues. So our goal, Nova as a team, what we aim for is a zero UAT product, right? So before getting into UAT, what we make sure is our product is fully tested, and then only we go to UAT. Again, there has been rarely certain cases where we have any bugs in UAT, but in case if there's a bug in UAT, we again do the code fixing and then submit for UAT again. After the UAT is done, we release it to production. Parallelly, we also start training and documentation. So those two processes continues during the after upgrade process. So training, we provide a training as to suppose let's say you want to manage the content and all the stuff. So we provide the training. So once we deliver the code, we don't leave your hand. We make sure that you understand the product that we are giving to you, and you can manage the system that we provide to you. So we provide you the training as well as the documentation. And one point is not mentioned, but we also do the support. So once the product is live, and we are there to support you as well. So we provide support services as well. Moving on. So as I said, there are 6 phases that I specified earlier. So we'll cover each of those phases in detail here. The first is, first and foremost is defining the scope. This is an essential part because this is where we decide, what goes into the project, right? What if there's any, a new requirement in this, during the upgradation process itself. If you have any new requirement, we will try to incorporate it. After checking whether it can be feasible or not, we create phases, and then we specify, okay, what will go in the first phase, second phase. We either follow, based on the project, we follow the normal traditional SDLC or agile methodology, whatever suits and whatever is demanded, right? We analyze the existing architecture, as I specified earlier. We analyze what is your current architecture, how many plugins you have, portlets you have. We do a high level of analysis of the core components. If you have any EXT plugin and stuff like that, right? Then we check if there are any external integrations. Okay, if you have any kind of single sign-on or OAuth integration. I have come across many integrations, in my projects. Like we have integration with middleware like TIBCO, right? So all this kind of integration will be analyzed here. Then what we do is we analyze the existing build and deploy process. So right now, maybe you must be using the Ant build, or you must be maybe using the Maven build. So what we do is we analyze the existing build and deploy process. We then recommend you, what can be done. Like we have a standard process of having a continuous integration to do the build and deploy. We also determine whether the existing plugins should be converted to modules or not. As I specified earlier, the existing plugins, right? Like sometimes it makes sense to not convert into modules, as I specified. Now, if you want to deploy the plugins to another portlet container, obviously the OSGi modules will not work there, right? And if the effort to convert into modules is too huge, then also we make a call. Then it is better to keep it as a plugin, a WAR, instead of converting into a module. So we determine whether the existing plugin should be converted to modules or not here. But our recommendation, personal recommendation, is it is better to convert into modules, so that in the longer run it is easier for us to manage dependencies or the service builder. So a service builder just takes care of the services, right? All the services would be defined as services. So it's a separate module, whereas the front end part of it is a separate module. So the modularity creates a separation there. We then derive the estimated efforts. Okay, so after checking all this stuff, we do provide the estimated efforts, both the high-level efforts as well as the detailed efforts too. Once the efforts are in place, we create a project plan, right? We check if there's any gap. Okay, so once we do that, we create a project plan for you. And the project plan, we decide, after providing the project plan, we decide, what kind of team would be, suitable for delivering this upgrade. So whether you need an architect, or how many developers do you need, how many QA would you need. So the team formation also happens in this planning phase. Moving on to the requirement analysis phase. So this is the normal, traditional requirement analysis phase that any project, in any project that we follow. We gather the functional requirements, we create the use cases, right? Then we analyze the technical requirements too. So our recommendation is to have a technical architect in place while doing the technical requirement analysis, because he would be in a better position to analyze a custom code and review the technical architecture, existing technical architecture. So it would be a best time, when you to include the technical architect here, so that he can recommend a better architecture, right? Then what we do is we gather all the performance statistics of the existing system. So this is a kind of an NFR kind of requirement, right? We want to capture it upfront so that you as a customer would not suffer later. So we have this KPI set as to how much time, average response time that you're looking for, a page to load, right? So all those stuff, and how many concurrent users would be accessing your system. So all those statistics would be gathered here. What time would be the peak time when the user would be accessing the system. So such kind of statistics we derive here. We gather any external system integration requirement as I earlier specified. Then comes the browser and UI requirements. Everybody needs a jazzy UI. But what is the minimum browser version that the company supports, right? So here we collect the browser requirement. This is again a non-functional requirement that we collect so that we can cater you better. We gather the existing infrastructure information. So this is for doing the gap analysis if we want to suggest you a new infrastructure, right? Feel free to ask questions, guys, okay? And you can type the questions. Moving on to the design phase. Here what we do is we reverse engineer your existing code, So maybe what happens is, I have seen projects wherein people decide to, create one huge plugin project and then add all the portlets inside that huge plugin project so that there is no dependency of the jar. So they have one monolithic project with one service.xml and all the portlets are accessing the same services, right? So there's a huge plugin project. So what we do is we try to break up those code if it is in such a shape. We create multiple modules because we want to obviously go with the modular structure that Liferay DXP has, right? And so we do a reverse engineering of the existing code. So as to better find out what kind of components lies in your existing code. How is everything put together? We check if there is any requirement for a database change. Maybe there may be some kind of performance tuning that may have been required in the database tables, like certain indexes are not there. So we kind of review all those table information. If there is any change required, we include that in the design. We also take care that for any external integrations, how should we approach that? We mention the design. So we prepare the design for the external integrations as well. We recommend if an infrastructure change is required. For example, let's say you are using Lucene in your existing system, right? And now Lucene is not there. So we will go with the Elasticsearch. So we will recommend you to have a separate server for Elasticsearch, right? So such kind of infrastructure changes recommendation we would recommend here. With all this, we create a prepared design document for doing the code refactoring and the upgradation process. We also create a build and deployment strategy. So here in NOAA, we make sure that we use Jenkins as a CI tool, and we use Sonar so that your code, the quality of your code remains better. So we do that here. So we create a build and deployment strategy as to how the build and deployment should be in place, what kind of environment should be in place. Do you need a replica environment? So we suggest all those stuff in this phase. Now comes the actual upgradation part, upgradation of plugins. So you must be all, most of you must be aware of the major plugins that Liferay has, right? Like portlets, themes, layout templates, hooks, and ext plugins. So in Liferay 6.2, you have this plugins SDK to create all this, right? But going forward, since we are, we are targeting for Liferay 7, Liferay DXP. So what we do is for example, I'll take, for example, portlets. In portlets, what we do is we adapt to Liferay 7 API. How do we do that? We do that by resolving the module dependencies, right? Liferay has a document for breaking changes. Like if I migrate to Liferay DXP, there can be something which breaks the code. For example, there may be deprecation of an API. API may not have certain things. That in the 6.2 there might be something in the API, but in the 7 and the DXP that is entirely vanished, or there is the new method coming up for the same task that we did earlier, right? So such kind of things which can break, for example, let's say BootStrap. So BootStrap 2.0 was there, 2.3.2 was there in the earlier Liferay version. Now we have to migrate to 3.0. So what kind of changes we need to do? So all those lists are available with us, which would break when we upgrade to Liferay DXP. So we use that code migration tool to identify the breaking changes. In the case of portlet, we decide whether we need to modularize the portlet or not. Okay, as I specified earlier, should we go with the plugins, the normal war concept, or should we modularize the portlet? So we'll check the effort to make this decision. So that's what we'll do here. Next is the themes. As Dwayne explained, the UI has completely been revamped, right? Liferay is now as SPA, like a single page application, and it is using BootStrap 3.0. Previously, what you did was you use plugins SDK to create the themes. But right now, what we have is we do Node.js based theme development using Gulp tasks, and then we upgrade to BootStrap 3.0. So we do the necessary refactoring and rewriting for converting your existing theme to make it Liferay DXP compatible. Liferay DXP compatible. Some of you might be knowing about this resources import. Earlier what we had was when you deploy a theme is like naked cloth. It does not have content, right? So when we deliver a theme, it might have certain content and stuff like that. So the resource importer is a way where you specify what kind of content, where layout, what layout. So everything will be packaged together in the theme when we deploy the theme, right? So we had that resources importer in 6.2. We also do the migration for that resource importer. Coming to layout templates. Layout templates, as you know, is the simplest of the plugin that used to be there, right? So here, what we do is we do only necessary CSS changes to make it BootStrap 3.0 compatible. Now coming back to hooks and ext plugins. So you must be all aware about the struts action hook. So earlier in Liferay 6.2 we had struts action wrappers. Now in that we just had one class where we used to override, suppose we want to override only do render method. We had to also override process action for no reason, right? Now we don't need to do that because Liferay DXP offers something called MVC commands. So for each of these actions, like whether it is for each of these phase, whether it may be render phase or action phase or resource phase, we have a corresponding MVC command. So we use an MVC command. So if you just want to modify the render phase, so we just use MVC render command, base MVC render command. So we extend base MVC render command in a class and then just override the render method instead of overriding everything. So we do that conversion. We also make necessary JSP changes by creating the fragment modules, which is how you modify the JSP in Liferay DXP. Then we used to have service wrapper. So service wrapper, as you know, whenever we want to modify any Liferay services, you want to execute some code before or after services, we create these service wrappers, right? So in DXP, what we do is we create corresponding service wrapper modules. Likewise, we have modules for events and listeners. We also do an feasibility, we convert this existing ext plugin to hook modules. So going now to the upgrading process. So the upgrade process, what we do is we first of all back up the database. This is very important. We don't want your data to be lost. So what we do is we back up the database and file system for the document library. Then what we do is we check for the legacy properties. 6.x has some legacy properties which may not be compatible with DXP. So we check that, and we check your existing portal ext.properties for any properties that you have overridden. Right? So we check those. We get the latest plugin for all the Liferay portlets. For example, let's say you are using Callio portlet for workflow. So we make sure get the latest DXP based portlet for the same, and then use it for deployment. We install the new version of Liferay. At this point of time, we make sure that we do not start the server. We then disable the search indexing. We don't want our upgrade process to be slow, initial time. So at that point of time, we disable the indexing. We run the DB upgrade tool. So in Liferay DXP, we have a separate DB upgrade tool, to upgrade the database. If there is an issue, we troubleshoot it. Then what we do is, we execute the Gogo shell commands for doing the module upgrades. After that, if your existing infrastructure has a cluster, you have a cluster setup, we do the cluster setup for you. Okay. We also recommend, if you don't have a cluster setup, we recommend that go for cluster if required, based on the audience and number of users that you are expecting in your system. Finally, we just start the server. When the server is started, we enable the indexing and then again restart the server. This is necessary so that the reindexing begins. Finally, what we do is we go to the control panel and then reindex everything so that the reindex process is completely successful. So this is the actual upgradation process. Coming next is the important phase, the testing phase. Here what we do is we perform the functional testing against the test cases that we had created earlier. In case we find any bug, it goes to the developers again for fixing. And this cycle continues until and unless there are no bugs. We prefer to have a zero UAT phase. So that's what we target. We also make sure to do necessary load testing as to identify how much load can your system take with your existing architecture. What kind of maximum content users can your system intake? So that kind of load testing we do, and do a performance comparison. So with your existing architecture, how much output you got with respect to the current architecture. So we do that kind of thing. We also make sure that there are no issues reported in the logs by monitoring closely. We make sure that there is no issue with the data, there is no data loss. Any bugs we found, we fix it, and finally send it to UAT. If there is any bugs available, the bug is reported in the UAT or a feature request is created, there is a new feature request, then we cater that as well. Moving to production. So there are two production moving strategies. One is the parallel production environment, and one is a direct cutover. So parallel production, what we do is, we stop the old production environment and promote the existing UAT environment to production. We keep the old production environment in case of there is some failure. So once everything is successful, we retire the old production environment. So that is how the parallel production environment works. In case of direct cutover, what we do is we plan a downtime. So there's a planned downtime. We follow the deployment process that we have outlined in our deployment, development phase. Once that is done, once everything is successful, we start the server. In case there is an issue, we execute the rollback. So that's how we do, the entire process, right from the planning phase, requirement, development, testing, and moving to production. That's how we cater the upgradation. Rest assured, if anything goes wrong here, there is nothing going wrong here. So once we move to production, we also make sure that we provide proper training and support. And in case any issues arise, we cater to that as well. So that's it from my side. And In case of any questions, please feel free to answer, feel free to ask.
Hello guys, this is C. Rajagopalam from Abu Dhabi. I just wanted to ask a question. How is upgradation to Liferay DXP cost effective?
So just to answer that, the upgrade to Liferay DXP is cost effective once you do the migration at the earlier stages, because as already discussed onto the presentation, if the amount of the efforts and the cost that gets involved from migrating from one major version to the another major version is it has a lot of complex activities and costs associated with it. So if you postpone this migration to the later part where you have got multiple major updates to be done, then it adds more to the complexity, and the some of the features that gets migrated to the newer version might get lost. So it's always better to migrate as the earliest major version is available.
Hello guys, we have got the next question from Mr. Kunal Patel, and he's from Mumbai. His question is, what is the timeline for typical upgradation?
So that's a difficult question to answer. I mean, it is based on the projects that we have. So based on complexity, we first analyze your project, right? So we check how complex the project is, how many components are involved, what kind of integrations you have, right? So once we have all those, then we make an estimate as to what is the expected timeline to complete the upgradation. So there is no hard and fast answer to this one, but we check the entire requirement, and then we make an estimate.
Our next questionnaire is from London. His name is Keith Collingwood, and he's asking, Liferay 6.2 had support for SOLR. Is it still supported or not?
Yeah, just to answer this question, Solar support is still available. The Lucene support has just been removed. And instead of Lucene being the default search engine, it has been transferred to Elasticsearch. But to answer this question, Solar is still supported.
Our next question is from Bruxelles, and her name is Jean-Francoise. Her question is, have you encountered any issues during the theme plugin upgrade?
I mean, so what we have found is, if customization was not done as per, the recommendation, so the earlier version of Liferay, when we created the theme in 6.2, if it was not done based on the best practices, then there is definitely more effort required to make theme BootStrap compatible. So that's our general observation.
And our next question is from Boston, USA, and asked by Gordon Khan. He's asking how many successful DXP upgradations have you guys done?
So in total, we have, as of now, executed 2 upgradation projects, and those have been upgraded from 6.2 to Liferay DXP, and they are live as of now. Yeah.
And this is our last question for the day, and the questionnaire is Mr. Sagar Shah. He's from Ahmedabad. He's asking, have you faced any major issues that you encounter while upgrading to Liferay DXP from Liferay 6.2?
So mainly what we had encountered is the dependency issues. So if there is any service jar related dependency issues, we have found those issues to be in a maximum number, because earlier what we used to do is, people would keep the service jars in the portlets or in the global DXT. So service jars, definitely we found some issues. Second issue that we found was, now DXP is Java 8, based on Java 8, right? So there are certain jar related issues. If those jars, like utility jars, are not Java 8 compatible, we find certain issues there too.
And that's the end of the questionnaire from our end. Thank you all for attending our webinar on Liferay. We at Nova really thankful to you. Just to let you know, a link will be sent to you guys over an email and all the other subscribers, and it should be available on Monday, which is 27th of March 2017. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. And we will also be answering all the other questions one by one via email. Thank you.